Hello, I'm Stuart Childs and you're welcome to the Dairy Edge, the Teagasc Dairy podcast. We're bringing you the latest information, insights and opinion to improve dairy farm performance. With 2022 beginning to disappear behind us now, I spoke with Míchéal O'Leary, Pasturebase Ireland, to give me a brief synopsis of what kind of covers are on farms as we head towards the start of a new grazing season, what impact the weather of 2022 had on grass production across the country, and what plans Pasturebase and the Grass 10 team have to improve and enhance grass measurement on Irish farms in 2023. So I started by asking Míchéal to tell me where we were at currently following the strong growth but wet back end to 2022.
From looking at the figures on PBI, like the average there is coming out at about 730 of an average farm cover. So I suppose, look, it's an average. So look, there's obviously going to be guys up at 800 or 900, and there's probably guys a bit, 6 plus maybe. But it's relatively positive, I suppose. Look, the wet weather probably forced guys in a bit earlier, and as you say, we got a bit of spurt to growth there late on, and I think farmers are in a good position in general. There's a good bit of grass out there.
Very good. So I suppose when I was talking to you, I was talking to you back in September, getting some information for the Let's Talk Dairy webinar there in relation to grass growth across the country. That was just after the drought, or we were kind of still at the end of the drought at the time. There was a big difference between the varying counties, we'll say, obviously with a major impact in the southern and eastern region, and maybe less so on the north and west. They seem to be having a good growth year. But what way has things panned out, we'll say, for the rest of the year overall then, like?
Yeah, if we look, I suppose, at the dairy farmers, just take all the dairy farmers in the country, I suppose, that have done 30 covers or more, I suppose, look, they've grown on average just over 12 tonne, about 12.1 tonnes, which would be back about 850 kilos on 2021. So I suppose, look, there is just shy of a tonne there, I suppose, less grass around in 2022, be it probably spreading less fertiliser, probably because of the price of it, but also, I suppose, as you mentioned there, the drought really affected farmers in certain parts of the country. And if we get in then to look at the particular counties, I suppose, look, Carlow and Kildare, I suppose, they really, like if we look at Carlow there, on average grew 11.5 tonnes. And the same with Kildare, they're significantly less, and Waterford actually less than 11.5 tonnes. So I suppose really the east was really affected when it comes to grass growth for 2022 anyway.
And overall, we'll say as well, I suppose, several people that I've spoken to would have said that they found 22 to be a more difficult summer than the summer of 2018 actually. Have you seen that kind of dip the whole way through the summer, or what have you seen in the curve?
Yeah, sure. Look, if we look at the grass growth curve for 22, look, I suppose everything was pretty okay up to about we say the end of May, but then I suppose it kind of got dry, I suppose, and guys were just about matching demand, their growth rate, and that kind of ticked along there. Then in June, July, they were just about managing to grow enough grass, and then I suppose in the middle of August really is where we saw the big drop off. And it went from the middle of August really to the middle of September. Compared to 2018, it was probably the end of June, right through to the 1st of August. So I suppose the drought did come a good bit later, I suppose a month later really, in 2022. But I think, look, it was a challenging year for farmers, to be honest, as regards grass growth. And look, I suppose the weather was reasonably okay, so I suppose things, and milk price was obviously good. So look, I suppose there definitely was lessons learned anyway in 2022.
Yeah, very good. So I suppose you spoke there a minute ago about less fertiliser in light of the drought and the costs and so forth. There's the fertiliser planner on Pasturebase that many people mightn't be aware of. Do you want to tell me a bit more about that? Maybe kind of help people to, I suppose, both reduce the nitrogen applications that they are doing and ensure compliance. Maybe, well, I suppose compliance is a person's own responsibility, but like it might help them towards compliance.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose, look, we put in the planner, I suppose, the start of 2021, I suppose, and it's available there on the fertilizer slurry tab on the browser. And what it basically is I suppose you go in there, and I suppose the first thing that you do is that you calculate how much slurry is available on the farm. So by doing that, you just basically put in the number of cows or the number of livestock that you have for the winter, the number of weeks that they will be housed for, and I suppose we calculate the slurry that way. And then I suppose you allocate your paddocks into different categories. So whether a paddock is for grazing, a paddock is for grazing and one cut of silage, or a paddock is grazing for two cuts, etc. So you categorize your paddocks, and then I suppose you then put in how much total chemical nitrogen you want to apply on those particular paddocks. And what the planner does then, I suppose, it allocates so much nitrogen then per month. And you can also apply slurry as well. So I suppose if you wanted to put out slurry, we'll say on a third of your farm, maybe in early February, March, or in February. So you can go in and put in that information there as well into the plan. And I suppose as you record your fertilizer and slurry applications on PBI, I suppose it just compares then what you wanted to do, what you wanted to do in the plan, and what actually happened. And I suppose you can get a paddock by paddock report to see where you are, I suppose, again, comparing what you'd planned to put out on that particular paddock in a given month and what it actually got. So I suppose you can track the nutrients that were applied on the different paddocks.
Okay, so you said there about the browser, that has to be done on the browser, but is it available on the app then once it is done?
It's actually not available on the app at the moment. I suppose in 2023, that's one of our developments, is to bring that onto the offline app. But to be honest, there is a bit of work in filling it out. So I think have it try it on your laptop or your computer where you have a big screen, and you'll be able to see all the different tables and the different boxes to be filled in. And I think if you do spend a bit of time filling it out as accurately as possible, and then in 2024, when you create a new one, you can just copy the 2023 report into 24, or the plan from 23 to 24. So it just makes life a small bit easier. So I suppose put in the time in the initial plan, and it definitely should pay dividends in for the farmer.
Very good. So you mentioned that that's part of the plan there now to bring that in 2023. Have you other updates planned for we'll say both the offline app and for the browser itself?
Yeah, so look, I suppose if we go through maybe some bits and pieces that we did in 2022 first, and we can come on into the new stuff. I suppose, look, we've done a good bit of development on the mapping tool there. We're putting on a few new features there, just letting farmers to map out their roadways and map out their farmyards and water courses, etc. You can also record, I suppose, if there's clover in a paddock. So you'll find that function under the farm tab. And I suppose you can also, we've done a bit of work, I suppose, as well in the reporting side of things, but in particular exporting reports to Excel. They come out now a good bit easier, and more, I suppose, that you can kind of, I suppose, mess around with them or edit them a bit and run your own calculations. And I suppose we've brought a lot of fertilizer information onto the offline app. And the other thing, then a couple of other things is, I suppose, we've put in the overseed option into the reseed event. So any guy that's oversowing clover, you can now put in as an event for oversowing. And I suppose at the moment that we're working on the grass utilization calculator that hopefully will be in there before Christmas. And you're also, I suppose, a lot of guys this year requested that they would like to save their slurry results. So a lot of people got their slurry tested, and they'd like to record that result in PBI and to use those in P and K results for their slurry as they recorded in PBI. So I suppose that kind of brings us up to where we are now. And for 2023, again, we're going to add in a couple of new reports. We'll have to add in a new clover report, and we'll be adding, I suppose, new bits to existing reports. And one in particular, and I suppose I'd encourage all farmers to run the farm summary report. It gives a good breakdown of what went on across the year, and we'd hope to bring in the likes of soil test results into that report, and maybe the percentage clover in that report as well. And I suppose we'd also like to join up with the likes of ICBF, and there's a couple of other soil labs which are outstanding, which we aren't linked to yet. And we'd like to link up with their databases. And another interesting tool as well, and I suppose we're working with William Burchell as well in Teagasc, to come up with, I suppose, a P&K offtake calculator, where we back calculate how much P&K is required depending on how much grass is grown on that paddock, and whether it's grazed grass or if it's coming off as silage. There'll obviously be different levels of offtake in P&K. So I suppose, look, we have a good bit of development again for 2023.
Oh, you won't be idle anyway.
No, there's always plenty to do, and I suppose it's great. I suppose another point I suppose to mention is that, look, we've a lot of farmers now using the system. I suppose we've over 6,000 farmers now that have done one cover or more in 2022. We've over 1,000 farmers doing over 30 measures, and it's increasing year on year. So I think, look, it's great. It's the momentum of the last few years is mighty, to be honest. And I suppose it obviously encourages us as well to do more development when more people are using it, and hopefully that they'll get more and more as they use it year on year, that they'll obviously use the application more.
Very good. So I suppose, Míchéal, one of the final questions I'd put to you is just from your role as the administrator there, we'll say, or the coordinator of the programme. Are there any observations that you see from the data that will say week on week, that kind of thing, that you see that people maybe could get some learnings from? Are they doing things the right way? Are they doing things the wrong way? Are there, like, what can they do better maybe in terms of the way they're recording and stuff?
Yeah, maybe just a couple of things. Simple things like graze dates. Look, if the cows graze a paddock today, you can enter that graze date today. You don't have to wait until you do a grass cover. So look, the graze dates will be that bit more accurate. And another thing is, I suppose, that if you are putting in a cover, that it's important that you go the whole way. So you put in the cover, put in the graze dates, generate the grass wedge. So once you have the wedge completed, that's kind of your finish point. And just from looking at wedges, and you're probably the same there, Stuart, with different discussion groups and different farmers. Sometimes I suppose the grass intake or the meal intake or even the cow numbers sometimes can be a small bit off. So I suppose it's no harm that you have a look at that. Once you generate the wedge, that I suppose the intakes are right and the stock numbers are right as well for the particular farm. But definitely for guys that are doing, we'll say 20 plus covers, 20 up into 30, I think as well is to make more use of the reports. Look, you've done the work throughout the year, so sit down, be it with your advisor or someone working on the farm or whoever you want, maybe on your own. Have a look at the reports. There's about 5 or 6 reports there. The annual tonnage, again, it'll just show you what paddocks are performing and which ones aren't performing. Again, the farm summary gives a breakdown of a whole heap of stuff that went on during the year, and it breaks it down into different seasons and as well. The milk report as well, soil fertility, there is a real big suite of reports there. And even the grass report. We a good few farmers they'd be in contact saying that it was a tricky year. Well, I suppose go back, look at the grass growth curve for, we'll say, 21 versus 22. Where were the pinch points? Were you stocked too high? What should you do next year? Try to, I suppose, learn from the information that's already on the system.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, Míchéal, because obviously I was talking to Niamh Lynch there recently in relation to Profit Monitor, and things are going to look good. Like, it could mask a multitude of errors on a farm, we'll say, the way milk price has been in the past 12 months. So what you're saying there about actually interrogating that data is worth people spending the time to do because of that stocking rate question, I suppose.
Yeah, and I suppose all these reports can be printed out or they can be saved or whatever. And sure, look, bring them along to your discussion group, or if you're in a grass group, bring them along and look for a bit of advice, be it from the group or the advisor that's there or whoever. A couple of minutes, you'd be surprised when guys are kind of familiar looking at the different reports they could pick up and stuff quite easily.
Very good. So I suppose, Míchéal, you've said there now you're kind of talking about the future there, bring it along to your group or whatever. Have you plans to do some more training in relation to people that might be interested in getting to know more about Pasturebase? Because we'll say obviously we've had a few people, as you said, 6,000 people with a minimum of one cover done there. There's people have been kind of required to do it there as part of compliance with the derogation, and they're going to have to go to the 2020 measures, I think it is, for the coming year. So that means that they're going to have to up their game big time, and they may need to get more familiar with the functioning of the app and so forth to make life easier for themselves for doing it. So have you plans for training for January?
Yeah, so I suppose look, the numbers are growing, so I suppose we need to go back to basics really, and I suppose from the 16th to the 20th of January, 2023, between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. So it's I suppose it's a full 5 days of going through PBI. So we've 1 hour every day during lunchtime. And we'll be going through different topics, like we'll be starting off with the basics, registration, putting in your paddocks, mapping your farm, right through to putting in covers, putting in fertiliser, using the different budgets and planners. So I think if anyone is serious about, I suppose, using PBI more or trying to get started using PBI, would be to join us between the 16th and the 20th of January, between 1 and 2. And I suppose, look, the link for registration will be circulated on the different social media outlets, but I suppose just keep an eye on the Grass 10 newsletter as well. And you'll be able to register there for the event. And I suppose, look, it's available, I suppose, to everyone, farmers, advisors, or farm managers, or guys, people working on farms or whatever. And I suppose it's during lunchtime, so I suppose, look, you can keep an eye on what's happening on your computer or on your phone, and you can have a bite to eat at the same time, and I suppose things will get done as well on the farm. So we'd encourage everyone, I suppose, to come on during 1 and 2, and I suppose, look, there'll be obviously questions and answers as well throughout the hour. So if you have any questions, you can just send them in, and hopefully that more people, I suppose, after it will be able to do more tasks, or will be able to use more tools, and again, all for the benefit of the farm itself. And look, there will be different webinars as well. We just had a webinar over a week ago there with William Dennehy. So there will be other webinars as well for PBI during 2023.
Okay, very good. So multitasking, eating the grub and doing a bit of learning as we go.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I suppose it's important to point out there, Míchéal, as well, that this is kind of catering for all levels. We'll say this training that you're running there, and that people can jump in and jump out wherever they want to. So I think we'll say it's maybe slightly different to maybe what you've done in the past, where you might have run longer webinars trying to cover everything. This is actually focusing on specific topics each day as you're going along throughout that week, and people can pick and choose what they want to get the update on, we'll say, or if they, as you said, if they want to learn more about the fertiliser element of it, they can join for that one. If they want to start from scratch, they obviously start on Monday and go Monday through to Friday for the hour every day. And that's a big advantage to people, as you said, that it's not like a lot of people find it just difficult at that stage of the year trying to get organised for calving and so forth, and maybe the odd one jumping the gun and being calved and so forth, that people won't have to commit to actually leaving the farm. They'll be able to stay close to home and still get the benefit of the information.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And look, all these we'll say webinars will be recorded as well. So look, if you do miss a particular one that you'd like to attend, look, it'll be up there on YouTube probably a couple of days after the event, where you can catch up on it, or if you missed a point or didn't really understand something, you can go back and watch them.
Very good. So I suppose not a bad year financially, obviously a tougher year from a grass point of view in 2022. We'll be hoping for a better year in 2023, make life easier for everybody concerned, I suppose. So thanks for coming on, Míchéal, and for giving us the benefit of your insight into Pasturebase, and we wish you well for the new year and for all the updates you've planned there.
Perfect, Stuart, and we'd like to, I suppose, extend as well a happy new year to all our users, and like that, hopefully they'll be able to join us in January.
That's all for this week's episode of the Dairy Edge podcast, and my thanks to Míchéal O'Leary for joining me on this week's episode. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe to the podcast. You can listen on Apple and Google Podcasts as well as Spotify. And for more information, go to the Teagasc website at teagasc.ie. And I'd like to wish all our listeners a very happy new year for 2023. I'm Stuart Childs, and join me next time for your Dairy Edge.